Alright, what's going on? My name is Lou, and this is my channel, Consciously Lou. Basically, this is my pilot video. Kind of like how when a TV show first starts off, they start off with their pilot video to kind of give you I guess, a foretaste of what the entire thing is going to be about. Well, this is going to serve as my pilot video as well as my anchor video, and like my mission statement, because I want to use this when in the future. If ever I get into any debates or discussions trying to defend myself or my ideas, I want to be able to have this video to fall back on. All right, and for anyone else too, so that they can quickly remind me, to humble myself or whatever. So basically, uh, this video is to state that I do not think that I'm perfect. I don't think that I know everything. As a matter of fact, I am sure that I don't know everything, and I'm pretty sure that it'll be millions of years before I can even, I don't know, billions, if not trillions of years before I can say I even really know anything. What this channel is mostly about is knowing things here in this realm. And that probably even sounds crazy because I haven't prefaced that with anything. But basically, there's a way that nature works. There's a way that we as human beings work, and science has figured a lot of this stuff out. The problem is it's not publicized. The way that we deal with things is a very ignorant way. So it hinders us from actually being the people that we want to be, or from being free and attaining the things that we want to actually attain. And I myself am not an example of the person that, the kind of person that is actually using these methods. I myself have just recently gotten to the point where I feel like I've gotten everything into a way where I can actually apply it. So now I'm beginning to apply it. So what you guys will be seeing mostly after these videos, or after this video, will be me in my application. I'm not perfect. I haven't arrived. I'm not there yet. I still get upset, and I'm okay with that now. Before I wasn't. That was the me that I wanted to hide from people so that I could look perfect, because being not perfect to me was equivalent to, I guess, not trying, as opposed to it just being honest with myself so that I could actually address the issues that I was running from, or address the issues that I was burying or suppressing. Okay, so with these videos, I want to make a vow, but I'm not sure that I can. But I want to try to make a pledge or something to try to be as real and as honest and as true to myself, so that in that aspect, I'm not disrespecting you by not being true or real or honest. All right, so there's some aspects about me that may offend you, but that can only mean two things. That can mean, one, I was put here to offend you so that you can get over that offense, so that you can grow up, because that is maturity, not being able to be offended. Or two, I'm the wrong person for you to learn this through. Either way, I'm okay with that, because I'm going to be me 100% of the time, because anything else is not me. And, I want to be free, and not being me is not being free. And I don't want to allow anybody else again, I should say, to make me feel like being who I am is wrong, whether I'm right or wrong. So I'm going to be me. Because, see, the thing is, I'm me whether I'm pretending to be something better or not. I'm me whether I'm trying to achieve something better or not. And, it's only one person that's got to live with that. That's me. And honestly, the person that's the most important sees through all of that anyway. So why would I be anything else if that person sees me and accepts me already? Why should I try to be anything else for other people who I may or may not ever, have encounters with, or encounter for maybe a decade, but out of my entire life, how long is that really? I just stopped living my life for other people, basically. So a lot of the stuff that I'm going to be sharing is weird by the normal standards, because it's science. A lot of it's science. A lot of it is science that is not mainstream. A lot of it is science that is the new science, but because the public school systems are like 10 years behind, most people still won't know about this stuff for another 10 years, even though it's like the science that has negated old theory and stuff like that, which is a shame. But thank God for places like YouTube and the internet and all that kind of stuff, man, where we can get information out very fast. So this is my anchor and pilot video. I would say if there was a theme to the entire thing would be man, know thyself and thou shalt know the universe and God. I fully believe that. If we understand how we work, well, I guess that will be in further discussions. But basically, that's the theme for this. If you know yourself, if you know how you work, then you can have the domination that was given to us in Genesis. You know, let us make man in our image and let us give him dominion over the earth. Well, we're made of the earth. So, you know, in that story, we're made of the earth. So we're supposed to have dominion over ourselves. If we can't figure out how we work, if we can't figure out why we do the things that we do, and not only figure out why we do them, but also figure out how to change, then we're slaves to this body. And we don't have any free will, and we don't have any dominion. And that makes us the complete opposite of God. All right? Because when we're piloted by emotions and by habits and things, when we have that cry in I think it's in Romans 7 where Paul says, the good that I would, you know, when I want to do good things, evil is always present with me. Or when I want to do good things, for some reason I just can't. But the evil that I hate doing is what I do. If you can say that that's your life, if you can ever say that you've ever been in that scenario where you want to stop doing something that's bad and you can't, or you want to start doing something that's good and you can't, that's pretty much the same scenario. If I just bring it down to a household level, it's the exact same thing. But if that's the scenario, if that's where you're at, then you might want to stay tuned to this, because that's where I've been my entire life, and I'm not ashamed to admit that. There was a point in time when I didn't think I was there, but then I realized that I was. When it came time, when I realized what I was, and when I saw myself and I wanted to change and couldn't, that's when I realized. But that's the theme of this channel. Get to know who you are, how you work, what you are, and how to change, so that you can live a life of true freedom. You know, I have a very, very small taste of that right now. You know, but we'll talk about that another time. So, as a matter of fact, let me see real quick how long this has been. That's only 7 minutes. Okay, so let me just say who I am. My name is Lou. All right, you don't need to know my full name, not right now at least. I live in Texas right now. I moved down here with my church about 2 years ago. Actually, I'm from Philadelphia. I left Philly and went to Newcastle, Pennsylvania to join a ministry out there that was teaching some deep revelation. Okay, before I was a Christian about 7 years prior to this, I believe. It was about 7 years, maybe somewhere around there, 6 or 7 years. So, you know, I'd already known God. Lived in South Philly. I used to sell weed, smoke weed, you know, just normal stuff. Just imagine black guy, South Philly. What is everybody else doing? That's what I was doing. I was having a conversation with my cousin one day in the living room. This was after a friend of hers was gunned down in front of her. And I'm sorry, I'm flashing back all the way to the beginning of when I first met God. Okay, this is like in my opinion, my intro when I first met God. So we're sitting on the couch and she's basically going through the scenario of how at this point in time she's saying, she was like, you know, he was just like you, talking about me, like he was a pretty cool dude. Only thing wrong that he really was doing was selling drugs, you know. So I'm thinking in my head, like, you know, I don't want to hear this because this guy just got killed. I don't want to be thinking like, you know, I'm anything like this guy. But I started thinking in my head, well, if I was to get killed, I know exactly where I'd go. And out of nowhere, well, let me preface this with something real quick. And she would attest to this too if you ask her. As we're talking, as she's talking, she stops and she's like, do you feel that? And at this time, unknown to her, I feel this crazy electric tingling. It feels like I'm being electrocuted. I don't even know I didn't know what that felt like at the time, but it's like that vibration that just goes through your body. It's just like, it feels like it's not you vibrating, but it's a vibration outside of you and through you. It's hard to explain, but it didn't feel like something was in me. I felt like I was in something, and I could feel being inside of it. And whatever it was like tingly, warm, the same feeling that a lot of people say when they feel the Holy Spirit or things like that, or the anointing, things like that. This was like the glory of God. It was crazy. And she felt it, and I wasn't even communicating that with her, and she just stopped out of nowhere and was like, "Do you feel that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I didn't know you felt it either." She was like, "Yeah, I've never felt anything like this in my life." And I said, "Me either." And then she just continued what she was saying. But in that state, I thought in my head, well, I know where I'd go if I died. And instantly it was like, no. Who I believe was God. Like, because I was saying, I know where I'd go if I died. And God was saying, no, you don't. And I broke down crying because I just heard the voice of God. And it was more than just a voice. It was the word no, the concept no, the feeling and the emotion of his no, or of its no. So I felt that it was more than just a verbal communication. So that was my awakening. And since that point, he's been pulling me and pulling me and pulling me and pulling me. And due to some recent events, I've had to get to know him literally, personally, on my own. No leadership, very few brothers and sisters around. And because of that, there's been such a change and a maturity and a growth, because I've had to learn for myself. For about 10 years, I've been a straight Christian, never questioning anything, trying to be a soldier. But then it got to the point where I just started to see that there was gaps in certain places. I wanted to know more than just all scripture. I wanted to know more than just biblical truths. I wanted to know more than that. I wanted to know the secrets of the universe. I wanted to know why there were atoms. I wanted to know why our bodies are made out of cells. Why did God choose to make us that way? Why do plants give us oxygen and we give them carbon dioxide? I wanted to know, why we have stars. Why is the universe so vast if there is no other life? Or why is the universe so vast and life so far separated if there is other life? I wanted to know all these things. So I started to ask God. I asked him to show me the secrets of his universe. Show me those mysteries. I told him that I would count all that I knew, and at this time I was teaching that at my church. I was having pretty deep revelatory teachings at my church, and I told God that I would forsake all of that I would count all of that as nothing, and I would pretend as if I knew none of that stuff, so that he could reteach me. And what I got from that was gold, and I would never trade it, never. And I had to remove my security blanket because I stepped out into an area where it seemed it's that kind of area where it's like, whoa, you could be treading the devil's territory. But I couldn't be afraid of that anymore, because one thing I realized through hearing testimonials of ex-Satanists and ex-witches and people who were in high rank in that realm, they all had power. They understood how things worked so that they could have personal power, so that they didn't have to wait on power. They didn't have to do all the things that I, as a Christian, was being told that I had to do to attain power. They understood how they worked. And the way I saw it was the enemy understood how man worked, so he was able to manipulate man to use him. But it's not necessarily, because we were created to be functional. When God said it is good, when he made man, that means it is functional. Evil means dysfunctional. So if you don't know how you work, you're evil. That's why it was evil or not good for man to be alone, because he had no mirror to see himself. But, we'll get into that in a different aspect. Because remember, Eve was taken from the inside, right, to show him who he was on the inside. He thought he was alone, but at the whole time his mate was within him. But he couldn't see that. That made him dysfunctional, because he looked for it outside of himself. So, that's just the beginning of it. So as you can see, that's where I'm at with it. So now I have my own revelation. I have my own understanding. Now, because it's amazing, because I even had to get rid of Jesus. I had to disprove Jesus in order to believe. Because if not, I was only believing what somebody else told me for the sake of, not one, offending my God, and two, not going to hell. If the question is here, it doesn't matter what I outwardly say and try to believe. He sees. So I had no reason to hold on to that anymore. So I forsook that too, just to come back to it, and not in the way that you think. Trust me, not in the way that you think. Not if you think in the way that I think that you think it, but who knows what you're thinking, right? So I guess I'll end that there. This is my anchor video, my pilot video, my mission statement. This is who I am. This is subject to change, because the more that I learn, the more I change, and that's been an amazing journey as well. So I'm going to end this here, and yeah, I'm going to end this here, and in the next video, I'll actually be sharing some stuff. The way that I'm going to be doing this too is not this way, unless it's just something that I really want to share real quick. The way that I'm actually going to be doing this is via my laptop. You'll be seeing the screen of my laptop, so this way I can actually show you the resources and all that kind of stuff while I'm doing it, as opposed to it just sounding like something that I'm saying. If I say something, I can show you why I believe it. You know, sometimes I won't be able to find the references, because some of it is from chapters and chapters and chapters of books that I've read, because I've read tons of books, tons of lectures, tons of seminars, and all that kind of stuff to learn this. And I can't share all of that with you. Some of it I'll have to paraphrase and get back to you. But there should always be a place where you can look it up yourself. That's one thing that I challenge everyone to do. Prove me wrong. If you don't believe me, and I don't care if I am wrong, because you'll see. It doesn't matter if I'm wrong or not, because me and you are going to interpret. For example, my hand, right? If I can say that my hand is black, right? You can say that my hand is white, and I can say, no, that's not true. And then I can say, oh, okay, well, I can see how you said that because you're looking at this side. And then you'll say, oh, I can see why he said that because he was looking at this side. See, we both see a hand, but our interpretation is due to the viewpoint that we have. For example, even a tennis ball. Let's just say that there was a tennis ball, right, sitting in the middle of a tennis court, and there's a circle of people around that tennis ball. Every single person has a different perspective of that tennis ball. Now, if we all came together and just agreed on the tennis ball and what we saw corporately, then we would have a perfect picture. But as individuals, we don't have a perfect picture. We see in part, like Paul said. You know, so, but when we come together, as opposed to bumping heads and trying to fight, if we just put the similarities together, which is what I've been gifted enough through a short time. It's not really an extensive, like I've gone out on voyages and stuff like that, but been able to see so many different realms of perspective from mainstream and not mainstream. But seeing how they line up, I can see the big picture because of it, and it's a beautiful picture that I want to share. So, you know, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter if I'm wrong in any area. You know, I accept that I could be wrong about everything at any given time, because I wasn't there at the beginning when these things happened. The only things that I know are the things that have been pretty much proven and that I have experienced, whether in a small scale or on a larger scale. So those things are mine. You know, I can take those things and say, this is my gospel because I've experienced this. And everything else, you know, I can say science proves this through tests. Other things I can say, we can see multiple examples in multiple cultures of this similarity, even though they're calling it different things and stuff like that. So you'll see it's going to be an amazing journey for those who stick with me. All right, so I'm going to end this now, as I said before, and I guess I'll see you guys in the next thing. Thank you for joining me.